welcome back to the Villa View. It's match preview time here on the channel, and I am joined by Ty Bracey to do that. This show is sponsored by Luke Roper. If you want to use the code TVV20, that'll get you 20% off everything Luke have to offer, including the new Dapper Villain range. So do go and check that out and use our code if you want to save yourself some money. Ty, Saturday, 3 p.m. at Villa Park. It's been a while, been nearly a year, in fact. First time this season that Villa have played.
You're on about TK then?
3 o'clock. No. First time, that is not far off a year since Villa have been at home at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. I did the Athletics Premier League preview show earlier, and their minds were blown by that stat. I mean, this is more AVFC Stato stuff, but it's incredible to be so long without a home game at 3 o'clock.
I know, and I'm not going to. That's the worst part.
No, I thought that earlier.
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird one not going. First of all, but you know, it is what it is.
Family first.
Family first. A game where we can a good shot of 3 points, Dan, to keep pushing us up the table. I think Leicester aren't in the greatest form. Had a 1-0 win against Walsall on the weekend.
Yeah, I watched a bit of it.
And then a 2-2 draw with Brighton. Lost 2-0 to Forest. Lost 2-0 to Newcastle. They're not doing too great in the league. I'm just looking now. The last time they won in the league was on the 12th of November against West Ham.
Yeah, they're not in stupendous form either. I think the crux of the situation for Leicester is don't really think the manager wants to be there. Don't really think the fans want him there. Not sure the ownership wants him there at the moment. But basically, he's not going to walk away because he would lose out on compensation. Leicester can't afford to sack him or don't want to sack him because I believe the fee to sack him is absolutely extortionate. So they're kind of stuck in this unhappy marriage at the moment, Leicester and Brendan Rodgers and the supporters. And when James Maddison doesn't play, Leicester just have got very little craft, very little invention. Problem is for us is James Maddison came back last week, so just in time for a trip to Villa Park, James Maddison plays. But it's fair to say, a bit like Villa with Grealish when we were quite reliant on Grealish, Leicester are very, very reliant on Maddison. Yeah.
If we get that side of Maddison, it's going to be a tough game. He's their star player and he's their number one. So for him to come back from injury at this time is just typical us, I guess, for a team star boy to come back. But you know, I think if we play how I've been playing recently, Dan, I think we can definitely get 3 points from it. I'm confident that we're going to come away with the 3, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Leicester have got a few problems. I mean, I've just mentioned quite a few there. But they do have other problems on the pitch as well. Not great at defending set pieces, although Harry Souttar, who they've signed from Stoke, plays. I think he's about 6'5", 6'6". He may solve that problem for them. They get themselves ahead, and they've got this problem. Villa have had this problem as well this season under Gerrard. If they get themselves ahead, they tend to concede straight after. They're not great defensively. Even if they do have a good day defensively, one of their centre-backs decides to stick in 2 own goals like Valface did at Anfield. So Leicester, they're not defensively the best. They've been quite reliant on Johnny Evans over the years at the back. He's spent the whole season missing. But there is a slight feel-good because they have done some activity in the transfer window. As I mentioned, Harry Souttar's come in. They've had a problem on the right wing for a long, long time now, and they've got Tete in from Shakhtar, possibly. I can't even remember where it's from. I can't remember where it's from exactly, but he's a Brazilian winger who the head of recruitment has had his eye on for a long time because he used to be at Southampton, and he tried to sign him at Southampton. So Leicester fans will be pleased with that. Albrighton's moved out on loan. He scored their second goal in the last league game, but he's gone to West Brom on loan. Poor Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, it's Shakhtar Donetsk.
Was it Shakhtar? I was right. I don't know why I felt the need to challenge.
He's on
myself.
loan. I thought they had signed him.
I thought they'd signed him. Maybe it was one they had to rush through to get the deal sheet in on deadline day. But Martin Glover, their head of recruitment, has been after him for a long time. We don't know whether these players will play. But Leicester have got this problem where they've got 3 strikers at the moment, which must be nice in fairness to have 3 strikers. We've only got 1. But Vardy isn't the player of old. Rodgers doesn't seem to fancy Iheanacho, and he just rolls him out in the cups, and he seems to score in the cup games. And from what I'm hearing, Daka isn't fit for purpose. So Leicester have got this problem at the moment. They've got 3 strikers, but they can't really settle on one. But Vardy in the past has had some good days at Villa, has now got some bad memories against.
I've got some horrible memories of him standing next to the whole end.
Is that right where you sit, isn't it?
Exactly where I sit, mate. I've got some PTSD for that happening. So, yeah, Iheanacho as well. I swear he's scored a few goals against us as well.
Yeah,
I remember him scoring
record
against us at
He's
Villa
got a good
Park
record
as well.
against us.
It's always the way, isn't it? We come up against them teams where players have got a habit of scoring against us. But I don't know if we'll see any of these new players. I'm sure he'll be keen to give his new signings a run out. So Yeah, it all depends on what Leicester turn up in the day, but their form in the league isn't great at the minute. They're in a struggle, so that they really need to be fighting to get up the table. Dan, they're not in the best spot, are they?
No, I mean 100% they're in a relegation scrap this season. Even Brendan Rodgers has admitted that himself. Luckily for us, we've changed manager and we've moved away. I don't think that's anything that Villa are going to have to worry
Yeah.
about this season. 5 from 7 under Emery that we've won. We've drawn with Wolves and lost to Liverpool. Won the rest of the games under Emery. As you said, it's a very good chance, especially at home, to beat Leicester. We beat Leicester last season 2-1 at home, Esri concert at the double. The last time we played, we beat Leeds without playing fantastically. If we're being perfectly honest, we had some difficult moments in that game, but we got through it through good defending, good goalkeeping, and we took our chances, which is what you have to do in football. Just wondered from where you sat. Villa are obviously now playing this playing out from the back, and I'm okay with it. I feel pretty at ease with it, but there's some people in the whole end where I sit that just are not, and that sometimes comes out on the pitch. Is that the same way you sit?
Yeah, it is, to be fair. You hear the moans and groans, especially from some of the older crowd. I think the older crowd probably aren't used to that style of football. But I understand it. It is a lot more patient football we're playing, isn't it? Instead of rushing to go forward. When we did Spaces, even I can't remember who it was, but someone said that the problem that Villa have in Emery's system is that he's used to having players who are really good at playing out from the back. I can't remember who it was who said it. Someone did.
I think our players have been decent at it.
No. I don't think that we're bad from the back at all. But it's getting used to that style of play, isn't it? And as a fan, it can be quite frustrating. I do understand it, but if that's the style of football we need to play to break a team down and wear them down a little bit, then so be it. Like modern football is no easy. It's not like the olden days where everything was a 4-4-2, and that's pretty much it. The game has advanced so much even since I was a kid. But they're going to bring their A game. But I think defensively we're quite good. We're quite solid at the minute, Dan. If I'm honest, I think we look great in defence. I think we need to just keep that on board, really, and just keep going for it. What Stato said there, Jamie Vardy.
I don't know, but he shouldn't be doing that on this show, Stato. He's forgetting that we're doing a show tomorrow. Save this gold for the show tomorrow. I'm hoping Adam, the producer, doesn't even put it up on the screen. Ignore that in the chat. The people that are in the chat, we don't want anything like that on this show, Stato, please.
Stato's got a strike on his probationary period already.
We'll be doing that. We'll be doing that tomorrow. We certainly don't do it in this show, AVFC. Stato, please stand down. I think we've been pretty comfortable with it. I will also say, in the last home game against Leeds, I thought we had our best moment when we beat the press and we played that ball over the top. Now, I'm not convinced Leicester will press in the same way that Leeds did, so it may be a case of being that little bit more patient. But something I wanted to say was that in the past, when you've got a plan, and I've seen Villa try and play out from the back before, by the way. I remember under Lambert when we had a back three of Chris Hurd, Kieran Clark and Nathan Baker, and we tried to do it for a few games, and the crowd got on the players' backs whilst it was happening, and we quickly abandoned it because the players couldn't really handle the pressure. What I will say is I think there's so much belief in the manager from the players now in what in his philosophy and his principles, that even if the crowd does get a little bit tetchy, I feel like maybe a month or two ago would have affected the players. Now I feel like they'll just ride it out, and I think it's no coincidence in some ways that we've won every away game and we've played that way, because I think that obviously there's less of the Villa fans in the away game. We've won every away game playing that way. We made a mistake with it against Brighton. We bounced back and won that game. But by and large, I've been impressed with the way we've played out from the back, and I think we'll see more of that tomorrow. I've completely forgotten what I was going to say next, which is absolutely excellent.
One thing on that is I haven't really watched Leicester this season. I'm not fake it till you make it. I'm honest. I haven't really watched the fact like Leicester this year. But one thing I do remember is when we played against them before, is when we played it, they play a press the back line, that they're ready, they're waiting to get in behind the defenders, and it's worked. But I don't think we play that style of ball anymore, especially with us playing out from the back. I can remember a few times like Vardy, he's in line with the defenders at all time, ready to get his running legs on and finish one mate. So I don't think that style of play will work.
Yeah, Leicester were very open at the start of the season, but they have solidified a little bit. They've had a few silly games recently, but they're tending to lose games by 1 or 2 now, rather than taking hammerings like they were at the start
Yeah,
of the season. They've got some good players on any given day. Anyone can beat anyone, but I do fancy us. I don't know why I'm even saying this. I do fancy us at the weekend to take 3 points against Leicester. As I say, we beat them last season, and I do fancy us. I've realised these previews have become very boring. Not because we're on it, but because
it is because we're on it.
No, because we're now going to talk about what team should Villa pick, but there's nothing to really discuss because the team is the team. I think at the moment I can't think. McGinn's back in training by the looks of things, so Emery hasn't had his press conference yet, to my knowledge. McGinn will come back into the squad, but I imagine he won't come straight into the team. He'll be on the bench and be a good option for Villa from the bench, considering depending on what's going on in the game. Yeah. The team does kind of pick itself. There's nothing for us to discuss in the preview with regards to what Villa do. I think Luca Dean will be back as well, but I imagine he'll be on the bench. I don't think he'll come straight back into the side either. But I suppose at least there's a couple of players there on the bench that can come on and influence the game. But as team selections go, I think we could name the 11 now, and I think probably 99.9% of the Villa fan base could name the 11 as well, including Rollo's new kid who's only been born a few days.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. Did you hear anything I just said?
No, I was listening to you, but then it just stopped dead.
I just stopped dead. That was me.
Oh, okay. Sorry, mate.
That's all right.
I was like, "Is Dan froze?" Because your face didn't move either. I was like, "Why is he frozen?"
I don't know why I did that. I just did.
I was just reading some of the comments on the
didn't want to answer my question. Not that it was really a question. But
what question? You didn't ask me a question.
Well, you could have just come in and agree. You could have just come in and agreed with the point that I was making. That the team picks itself.
I can't remember what it was, but I agree with you.
Yeah, team picks itself. Not much.
No, you are right. If that's what you're referring to, if it was a very long question, if that's what you're referring to,
I was just giving more of a commentary whilst I was doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see some rotation, aren't you, in the middle with Ramsey and McGinn. And then your attacking options might fluctuate a tiny bit depending on what the actual plans are with Duran, which I guess we'll find out soon enough.
I'd imagine.
It'd be nice to see him get some minutes. I wouldn't mind seeing him get some minutes. I'd rather see him come on when we're comfortably in the lead for a game and there not be a lot of pressure and, just to get a feel of what it's like to play at Villa Park because, I can't imagine what it's like playing there in front of 40,000 people. I can imagine it's, for the first time. Especially when you're coming from the MLS. I mean, I'm not knocking the MLS, but, I can't imagine there's any atmospheres that replicate Villa Park.
I'm trying to think of any player that's come from the MLS and just hit the ground running straight away. The last player I can think of that came from the MLS is Almiron. And it's taken him 3 years to get going, hasn't he, and become the player that Newcastle fans hoped he would be. Let us know in the comments. I can't think of anyone that's come straight in, especially at that age, especially having played so little games there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a chance of featuring purely because of what we've just said, that the squad is pretty small now, and it's going to be this. If everyone's fit, it's probably going to be the same 20 involved every week. And he forms part of that at the moment, Duran, because there's no other striker at the club. One thing that has been interesting in the games, I don't know whether you've noticed, is we've been saying Bailey and Watkins have been playing up front and they've split. There's been a few games recently where Bailey's actually started on the right and Buendia has been the one who kind of plays next to Watkins. I don't know what you've made of that, but I found that quite interesting at times. We definitely did that against Leeds, where it was more Buendia. I mean, Villa have no positions anymore. That's just the way it is. Villa don't really have a formation, but in the defensive 4-4-2, when you're defending, it was Buendia who was defending closer to the front than Bailey. Do you think that's to do with pressing from the front because Buendia is better at that than Bailey?
Yeah, he does give some legs, Buendia. I know he's sceptical to a bit of criticism online, but he does work hard when he's on the pitch. I'd prefer Bailey on the left, really. I think it's very one-trick pony when you're on the right. Wait, I know he does start on the right, but there's been a couple of games. I can't remember if it was Emery's first game or it might have been.
He played up against Brentford on the left.
Yeah, and I didn't think he was bad, but
he was good.
When there's only one leg on the right, it can become quite predictable, especially when Leicester have got quite a good defence. The results don't really. I think it don't really show. Leicester ain't bad defensively, really, in terms of who they've got. Yeah, I know, but in terms of who they've got, they're not terrible in defence. They'll be hard to break down. I just want to see everyone start playing together as a team, and we're starting to see that. And it's just we're getting to that point now where we do know what Villa are going to come out each half, where we've been so used to what Villa's going to cut in 45-minute bouts.
You couldn't call us a one-half team anymore. I think it's just we might have a half where we're a bit more solid and compact, like we have done in away games.
Yeah.
In terms of good half, bad half, it does feel like that's disappeared, and that's been a problem for a decade at least.
Yeah, it's just nice to not be in that position anymore, Dan. I'll be honest, it's quite refreshing. But I'm gutted I won't be there. I'll be watching it, but yeah, a Saturday 3:00 kickoff, man. It's just gonna. I can't believe I'm missing it. Which means my last one was. I can't even tell you when the last Saturday.
Norwich.
Is that when it was?
Yeah.
I haven't been at Villa Park 3 p.m. on Saturday for 10 months.
I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, Stato may have done the walk of shame and left the chat, but he'll know. But I'm pretty sure it is April against Norwich. Adam Wright has said that Rodgers has said today in his presser that Vardy and Harry Souttar are doubts. So. Adam Wright, we're just talking about you, Adam Wright, coincidentally. Bringing the team news, Adam Wright. So, yeah, you'd imagine that means... I bet you Iheanacho actually plays. He hasn't really started this season in the league, but because he scored against Warsaw, I think he came off the bench in that game. I'd got a feeling he would start, and he even used to score when he was a big part of Manchester City against us. So if Vardy doesn't play, I'd actually expect it to be Iheanacho, but although I don't think Daka's scored many this season if he does play. Jonathan Ridgway in the comments as well knew someone would say this. Robbie Keane was good for us when he came from the MLS. He played in the Premier League before, Jonathan. You know that. You knew what I was getting at. You knew what I meant. What else have we got in the comments? Mr. Nicky Cullen has just put Davis. I'm not really sure.
I assume he means Alfonso, but obviously he hasn't been to the Prem.
Yeah, that's a decent shout. I don't think he came to the Bayern team straight away.
Oh, yeah, Tyler Adams. There's another one.
But he's come from in between. Had Leipzig in between. I'm talking straight from the MLS here. Only played in the MLS. Come to the Premier League. Be interesting to know who that was. Nicky Salters is doing an AVFC Stato impression in the chat as well, telling us Maddison has only scored once against us in the league. Harvey Barnes has, however, scored a few. Yeah, I've got memories of Harvey Barnes scoring against us. Sinead Hafesji, sorry if I've murdered your name there. What's your opinion on Philip Coutinho being on the bench? I think at some point, I do think Coutinho is going to get in the team, in the second half of the season. There was a little training video. Was it a training video calling him a magician yesterday? Was that Coutinho?
Yeah, yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, good training clips this week from AVFC officials.
Yeah, but it's all good, I mean, we can all sit and watch highlight reels of players and...
Yeah, but you don't mind it because we're winning, Ty. You can this is the thing. Villa post that stuff sometimes when we haven't won for about 10 years and haven't scored for 10 years, and then I'll post videos of everyone banging them in and training. At the moment, we're going well. So posting the training content, and it's a good time to do it. No, Stephen Crimmy. Brad Guzan. Actually, to be fair, he was decent when he first came and played in the Cups. Not a bad shot. But I'm talking outfielders only, Stephen. That's what I want to know. Landon Donovan, pretty decent for Everton.
Yeah, but he didn't come from the MLS.
Yeah, he played in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, didn't he play for Leverkusen, I think?
He definitely played for Bayern at one point.
Childhood.
Brian McBride, he came. Brian McBride came, I think.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
I mean, even the name he's come up with, DeAndre Yedlin, Seattle Sounders to Spurs, for the love of Paul McGrath podcast.
For the love of have a day off, Neil.
I mean, did DeAndre Yedlin hit the ground running, Neil, at Spurs? I'm not sure he ever hit the ground running in the Premier League, full stop, even when he went to Newcastle. He was quick. I wouldn't say he hit the ground running, though. Stephen Wright, Almiron.
Yeah, we said Almiron.
Gareth Thomas, Jack Harrison, but then he'd be playing in the champion. He played a few loans in the Championship. Jack Harrison. I'm fighting back on everyone here. Whatever name you give me.
What have you had for lunch? You got to rock it up your
backside. Because there hasn't been one. I don't think there's been one. Clint Dempsey's a good shout. I like that one. Chris Simmons. Did Clint Dempsey come straight from the MLS? I think he probably did. Yeah. If people could fact check before they post. Yeah. Nice Mike Bracey from Omar. Yeah, new mic delivered today. New mic. Can't believe it's taken us this long to get you a mic. Absolute disgrace.
It's my own fault really for selling my setup before I moved house, and then decided I weren't gonna do pods anymore. And then about 5 days later, I was back on a pod and haven't stopped since. So I had a nice little break though. I didn't do a lot in the last 6 to 9 months. Really, I've been quite quiet, haven't I? I've had a lot going on. So
I mean, you might have been quiet in terms of doing podcasts, but not quiet in general. Never quiet.
Yeah, because you're one of my best mates. So football aside, I'm always going to nose your head.
I mean, it tells you how little there is for us to preview in terms of Villa team selection and stuff when we still got people messaging in about people coming from the MLS and hitting the ground running. Neil's still trying to justify DeAndre Yedlin with 109 Premier League appearances. I accept that, Neil. If I had 109 games, but how many of those 109 games were good? That's
do you know what? Yeah, it's lucky. I tell you what, you should have got Neil on for this episode because as soon as you started about the MLS, he'd still be reeling off players now from when you first mentioned it.
Marcus Beasley, did he even play in the Premier League? Please tell me who he played for, Gasper. Did he play for City? Have I got him confused with someone else? Jeff Cameron at Stoke. Again, I'd question whether he came in and hit the ground running, but that's some good suggestions there.
We should be quiz masters. We're wasted on these podcasts.
I mean, we definitely shouldn't be. Tim Howard. A lot of goalkeepers coming in. American goalkeepers, I take as an exception. They've usually been pretty good.
DeMarcus Beasley, Chicago Fire, then to PSV for 3 years, then Man City loan.
Yeah,
then Rangers.
Doesn't count if you went to PSV.
That was like Man City 2006, 2007. So that was like their.
That was when David Jones played a game up front.
Yeah. Have you seen the clips of that? That's class,
I remember the game. It was around there. Is there anything else we can preview, Togs? Otherwise, we should probably go because this has just turned into the MLS show at this point.
No, I mean, we spoke about the transfer window in episode. We've spoke about what's coming against Leicester. There aren't really I don't like to drag these out, really. I mean,
let's call it.
Yeah, let's call it. I'm sure you want to go and you're having cod and chips for tea tonight, yeah?
No, having cod and chips.
How come?
I swore. Because I don't eat cod, but the dog eats cod now with his bad tummy, and I hate the smell of it, but I've got to cook it. But people don't want to hear about my problems. But yeah, you
don't want to hear about Dan's dog's bad tummy because
you don't hear about me
texting me, moaning about his dog.
No, that's not fair. I love that dog more than anything in the world.
I didn't say he didn't love it, but you still meant to me.
Yeah.
Michael Bradley,
jeez. That was the time, right? I'm dragging this out now. I just had Michael Bradley on Football Manager for my Fulham team, and he was class. And then suddenly from nowhere, Villa signed him, and I was so buzzing. He didn't bloody ever play. I think he came on twice. Didn't play. That was one of the most disappointing transfers. Not for any other reason.
He came from Mönchengladbach.
Yeah, people are getting the thing wrong as well. That's not direct from the MLS, is it, Chris Simmons? Come on. Let's go before I fall out with everyone that's on the chat. Be back tomorrow with AVFC Stato for the Stato show, even though he was trying to derail this show and get the stuff incorporated into this one. It will be a show with me and him tomorrow. Not sure what time yet. I don't think we've actually chose a time, so keep your eye on our social media channels.
Score prediction.
Score predictions. Here we go. What are you going for, Ty?
I'm going 2-0 Villa.
2-0 Villa, and I'm going to go for 2-1, the same as last season, to Villa as well. Thank you very much for joining us for this absolute rabble of a show that we've just done. As I say, the Stato show will be back tomorrow. The Stato show will be back tomorrow, and we'll have a post-match pint on Sunday as well. And then 1874 with top journalist Greg Evans comes back on this channel from Monday. So make sure you don't miss that one. If you were a fan of 1874 on The Athletic with Greg and myself, I'd be happy to be doing something with a professional again, other than people like Ty. No offence, Ty. I'm sure you don't mind me saying that, do you? You don't care. It's only a joke anyway.
You keep eating your prawns, mate. You keep eating your prawns.
I did that Spaces, and honestly, you spent 60% of that Spaces having a go at me.
Yeah, that was the whole point. That was the only reason I got you on, because I can't rip you on it because it's not my channel.
Won't be doing that again. Pood says a clean sheet would be nice. A few clean sheets for Villa recently, to be fair. But let's go. Thanks ever so much for watching. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.